What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Outside Line Media, and we're going to talk about the only important thing that happened in the F1 race this weekend. Nico Hülkenberg, after 237? 236 results?
After a lot of races.
After a lot of races. Some might say the most races in F1 without one. He finally got a podium.
It was beautiful. But yeah, a chaotic wet, then dry, then dry, then wet, then dry, then wet. British Grand Prix. No racing next week, so it's just gonna be a real quick recap. Chaotic race off the start. George Russell and Charles Leclerc decide to pit for slicks, thinking that the track is drying. We then had Liam, or who crashed immediately? Was it Liam Lawson?
Yeah.
Liam Lawson just wrecked himself. Didn't realize there's two cars on his inside, not just one, just turned into Esteban Ocon, who had nowhere to go.
He was getting pinched by Yuki on the inside and Liam on the outside.
Yeah, just a bad day for the rookies in general. Why did Franco not start the race? Why is he listed as a DNS? I don't remember that.
I think he was planning on pitting for slicks, and then he had the issue where his car was stuck in second gear in the pits.
Classic. So yeah, that bad day to be rookies. But yeah, the chaos continued. It did eventually just start fucking downpouring, which led to some safety cars, more crashes. Watch the race recap, this race was ridiculous.
I am gonna also say shout out Ollie Behrman for being the only rookie to not crash.
Yeah.
Or break his car.
Yeah, literally. Good on him. What about Fernando Alonso? He's a rookie and he finished 9th.
Yeah, great finish for a rookie in those kinds of conditions. Doesn't have the experience to race in the rain really. So really impressive showing from Fernando there.
A lot of overall McLaren once again showing their just raw pace. Just 34 seconds off from Nico Hülkenberg to Oscar Piastri, and that's with Oscar Piastri serving a 10-second penalty and with Lando Norris having a slow pit stop. Their car is just their tire deg and their grip. They're just on a whole nother level.
That's not final time, I don't think.
What?
That's not including the penalty, the time.
He served the penalty. He served the penalty.
Okay.
I
was just saying because he was only 6 seconds off of Lando, and I knew he finished behind him on track.
Yeah, it was 6 seconds behind him with because he had served the penalty. But yeah, Max Verstappen went off once, spun the other time. Really not having a great time in that car in the wet. That Red Bull is just ever so tricky, as we saw with Yuki being a lap down and having woes throughout the race as well. The main talking point of this race being that everyone's talked about is the Oscar Piastri penalty, and just Oscar Piastri's behavior during this race, which it was rough, but once again, it's the classic thing of you shove a microphone in a race car driver's face after they've been racing. They're going to see things one way. They don't have the whole picture. He's already come back and, kind of backtracked everything he said. But the penalty is pretty cut and dry, if you ask me. It's tough that George didn't get a penalty, but he did do it to an extent, like double or triple what George did.
Sport bias.
He also did it double or triple worse than George did.
I know, but I think George cut and dry was 10 car lengths behind the safety car. He was more than 10 car lengths.
But it's a little different when it's in the wet and you go from 200 to 50 and apply 60 PSI of pressure.
I know, but it's also a cut and dry penalty that they're penalizing him for, which was dropping 10 car lengths behind the safety car.
But it's the FIA. What do you expect? But yeah, Oscar Piastri got that 10-second penalty. He was asking for a swap. Obviously, they didn't do that. Lando Norris gets a home race win.
God, I would have paid to see McLaren or Lando fan reactions if they had done the swap. I would have paid for that.
Yeah, I would have been. Well, I would have been. I think they would have been that would have been one of the few times they're justifiably can be mad because that would have been ridiculous.
I know. It would have just been. I wouldn't have logged off of Twitter once. It would have just. Been, it would have been funny.
Oscar, I just would love to see how you would have reacted, Patrick, if everything Oscar said, if you just flipped it between Oscar and Lando, because Patrick could have a 2-hour episode.
I could.
If it was Lando. Because
my Lando hate is sometimes justified. but I also just don't like him as a driver. So every
Well,
time
yeah.
I can find something to bitch about, I will.
Credit where credit's due. He raced a great race.
Good clean race from him in the wet.
Perfection from him on what he needed to
do. Ironically, there were no bottles allowed in the McLaren fan zone this weekend. Saw a tweet about that. Somehow Lando still made an appearance.
Is that real?
Yeah, they were confiscating bottles at the entrance because you couldn't have outside drinks.
That's wild.
Hilarious.
That's wild. But
had to make sure that you drank your chemicals in the Lando Monster, which I want to try just to see what happens.
But yeah, Nico Hülkenberg podium. That's really all I care about. The amount of edits I saw was beautiful. At the cost of Lewis Hamilton not being able to end up getting past him to continue his streak, but it's worth it. Small price to pay for Nico Hülkenberg podium.
Did you say the issue with the fluorescent paint in the Lando grandstand? How it just attracted swarms of bugs?
Oh, I did see it. Wasn't the flare. It was everyone's hats. It was everyone's like merch was doing it with that color.
Yeah, it was like that fluoro yellow color. Just
yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, Nico Hülkenberg podium.
That's all I really care about. Chaotic race. If you haven't watched it, watch it. We obviously are in Mid Ohio, but we tuned in what we could, and I watched the recaps and all the videos. Great race. Another hood classic rain race.
Any race in F1 with rain is almost always going to be a banger because it equalizes the machinery a lot more.
Yeah,
obviously didn't do a great job with McLaren.
They just have that shit on. Yeah, it's planted. That shit is drilled to the floor.
I mean, I don't know how they created such a good car in 2 years, basically. I mean, because you go back to 2023 and their car was mid. You go back to 2022, it was horrible. It was a tractor. Yeah, really wish I could see what Danny Rick could do with this car. You know, he could at least finish top 10, get some solid points in it, I think.
He could wash it, that's for sure. But yeah, overall good race. Patrick, I won't even make you talk about your predictions because Patrick had a bad weekend on predictions.
So I had a horrible. So look, I went off the wall with my predictions, and when I saw it was raining, I'm like, perfect. This is my chance for my predictions to do really well when I went off the wall. 0 points.
Yeah, I got Oscar and Lando correct on the podium. I had Isaac Hadjar miss the apex, which he quite literally missed an apex, hit the wall, ran in the back of someone in rain. And I had Kick being best of the rest, which they were because, yeah, P3. That is best of the rest. There's no other team with – the only other team with 2 drivers in the points was Aston Martin with 7 and 9, which –
well, and McLaren.
Best of the rest, brother. We're talking about best of the rest. We're talking about not McLaren. So yeah,
I mean they beat
4 points.
If you aren't a McLaren fan, Nico Hülkenberg beat your favorite driver.
He did. That he did.
Nice little Denny Hamlin reference in there.
Yes. Yeah, overall good race. Obviously no race for the summer break. We're gonna make some silly season predictions coming up in a video here soon to fill the summer break.
Yeah, we're gonna write them this week just to be sure that we miss any announcements.
Yeah.
And hopefully we drop the video before any announcements are made. I don't know. We might snap record if there's an announcement made just to get ahead of it.
Yeah.
But...
and if we're behind, you can blame me because it's my executive decision to push this because I wanted to have another video in a week.
And if you're missing F1 during the summer break, IndyCar is racing the entire summer break. IMSA's racing this weekend. Sports car racing. If you're coming from the F1 movie, the entire first 30 minutes of sports car racing. That's going to be what's happening at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park on Sunday. And then NASCAR is at Sonoma.
Except for something from the F1 movie you won't see is that Turner Motorsports car getting passed. That would never happen, especially by the Wright Motorsports car. Actually, I like Wright Motorsports.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't shit talk Wright Motorsports. This is a Wright Motorsports lovers podcast.
That Turner Motorsports car would never get passed. They would never let themselves get done dirty like that. I just want
especially
that
with Robbie Foley behind the wheel, maybe with Patrick Gallagher behind the wheel.
I mean, Patrick Gallagher's still a hell of a wheel man. Let's be real.
Also, NASCAR. If you're an F1 fan and you don't want to give NASCAR a chance, this weekend it's the time to do it. We are at Sonoma, a classic American road course. Really cool course. A lot of elevation changes. Really complicated mixture of corners. Should be really cool. I believe Kyle Larson won it last year. SVG is probably going to win it this year. So you'll get to see a Kiwi win a road course race probably again for the third time this year.
Yeah. Should be a banger. We also got WEC at Sao Paulo. There's a lot of former F1 drivers in there and F1 talent.
Daniel Kvyat should be racing in that one, I believe.
No, Daniel racing. Yes, they should be.
Daniel Kvyat's racing, so that means it'll be Daniel Kvyat and Romain Grosjean. Two former F1 drivers racing in there. K-Mag will be with BMW M Team Hybrid, or whatever the WEC team is.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the entry list, but it should be something like that. So yeah, a lot of racing to watch.
And a little fun fact I learned yesterday too, if you're a WEC fan, is Break, the YouTuber that used to be Max Verstappen's performance engineer, is now a race engineer for Lamborghini's WEC program. Cool. Daniel Kvyat gave him a call, so that's why I haven't seen his content in over a year.
That'll do.
But yeah, short video for F1 today. Ryan, you got anything else, or just look forward to our silly season predictions next weekend?
That's all I got. Race hail, praise Dale.
Hell yeah.
Hopefully my favorite drivers start turning around because it's been a brutal fucking month.
Hell yeah. Hopefully Cadillac hits the ground running next year.
They'll hit the ground. They'll hit something.
Hey, I mean, if they do halfway decent, they'll do better than their engine supplier.
Did you see the F1 TV pre-segment where they were doing all those predicted lineups for Cadillac next year?
I saw one picture of it and I figured it was fake.
They did a bunch of. It was just a bunch of
someone just cherry picked their driver lineup that they wanted to see and posted it.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them, but one of them was Palou and another IndyCar guy. It was Palou and someone else from IndyCar. Palou and Herta was one of them. There's a bunch.
That'd be a wild lineup and so bad.
That would be. It'd be funny, but yeah.
I would love to see Palou Bottas.
Palou can stay here, brother. He don't want to go there.
I'd rather have Palou in here, but I would like to see Palou Bottas just to see what Palou could do in an F1 car. But I'd rather see him with an actual team.
And in a slow car, people are just going to discredit him, and people are just like, "Oh, IndyCar sucks."
Exactly. I'd rather see him put him in a Red Bull. Let's fire Max Verstappen and just put Palou in the Red Bull.
Brother, that Red Bull's not that good either right now. I don't know if that's a good idea.
But yeah, everyone have a great rest of your week. Great motorsports this weekend, even though F1's on the summer break. So if you haven't looked outside of F1, which if you're watching our podcast, I'm sure you have looked outside of F1. But if you haven't, go check out IndyCar, NASCAR, WEC, or IMSA this weekend. You got a lot of racing to choose from. Everyone have a great rest of your week. Peace.
Peace.